Monday, May 10th, 2021. Welcome to the lounge. It's good to have you both here with me today. Let's talk for a few moments on conducting a staff meeting. If you've ever been in a staff meeting, you'll know of, let me reword that. If you've ever been in an effective staff meeting, you know the importance of having one. But today I want to talk to you about conducting a staff meeting. If you are the one to conduct it, to lead it, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 different elements of an effective staff meeting. I've been in some ineffective staff meetings. I've been in staff meetings where I've wasted a lot of time to where no solutions were given. There was no teamwork. I first had this title, conducting a team meeting, but I think a lot of us know the verbiage or the terminology rather of staff meeting, so I just changed it. But I love when staffs become teams, right? And I think in the way that you conduct a staff meeting, you can easily make that transition into becoming a team. That's when organizations thrive. That's when culture is exciting, when a staff becomes a team. Okay. So let's talk about the 5 elements, the 5 reasons for meetings. Number 1, communication. We talked about communication a couple weeks ago. I encourage you to go back and watch that link. Okay. I think I shared it as a free resource last night on Facebook. But reasons for meetings. Number 1, communication. Okay. There must be communication from the leader to the staff and then staff amongst each other. Okay. You've heard me say this before, but I believe that organizations rise and fall, of course, on leadership, but on communication. Where there's a lack of communication, there is lack of progression. Okay. So, number 1, communication. When you lead a staff meeting, when you conduct a team meeting, we need to make sure that we are communicating, yes, from yourselves, but also to one another. All right. Number 2, I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. Collaboration. I believe, and like I said, I've been a part of the exact opposite of all these 5, and I've been a part of these 5 to the extreme. Let me just say the former is better. Those who have communication and collaboration, when you collab, when you work together, when there's actual teamwork, that's how you know you're a team. If there's collaboration happening, because oftentimes, it's like this is me, this is mine's, right? It's that mentality. This is my department, this is my thing. I'm gonna hoard this. I'm gonna protect this. I'm gonna not let you into this. Or it's like, no, I'm just as much a part of. You're just as much a part of my department as I am yours. This is a team thing. What I'm a part of is bigger than the role that I play. That's when collaboration can kick in. So we got to make sure if you are conducting a staff meeting that you really cultivate, you foster, you host collaboration really well. You ask questions like, hey, Jake, what do you think over here with Sarah? Or Sarah, what do you think over here in Rachel's department, right? A collaboration, you're working together, okay? Number 3, this is a big one. I love this. Celebration. Celebration. You celebrate and honor. If you've ever been a part of my social media training, you know I've talked about this a lot, that you celebrate what is happening in the organization. You celebrate the organisms that are a part of the organization. You celebrate the people, you celebrate your team, you call people out. We used to do something in a staff meeting a few years ago at an organization I worked with. We call it kudos, right? We would give kudos and we would give out gift cards. We just go buy $10 to $20 gift cards and just go around the room and brag on somebody for something that they just did, or just for being awesome, them being themselves, right? A selfless act or some type of win in their department. And we just give out gift cards. And that is really cultivating this celebratory culture. It's just fun to be a part of, right? And it keeps it fresh. It reminds you oftentimes why you do what you do, etc. So number 3, celebration. This is really neat when as a leader, you can really cultivate that culture of celebration. All right. Number 4, community. This is Another reason for a staff meeting, community. Okay, you want to have chemistry amongst one another. You want them to know each other outside of work, having things like staff days, etc. Whole nother conversation. But community with even within the staff meeting, getting your whole team in the room, or different kind of groups in one room at one time, it really just creates this culture of community. And that right there, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, when push comes to shove in your organization, that is that will really come through when people like each other. I believe I would rather hire you know 30 people that I really liked to work with and to do life with and to be in community with than 30 of the most gifted people that I thought were jerks or I had no chemistry with. Although you got a lot done, I think I would rather have a team unit, community amongst one another. So that's another reason for a staff meeting. It gets everybody's crazy work schedule, everybody's task sheet in one room, and gather everybody in one room. And then you have this sense of team. And all the more you can go and say of family. Okay. That's number 4, community. Number 5, as a leader, you want to make sure that you're constantly pouring out. Okay. Kind of having this resolve in you that says, if anybody's going to coach my team and encourage and inspire and exhort, man, it's going to be me. Now, of course, you encourage them to go get other coaching and counsel and all this stuff, but that's not at the expense, right, or in place of or a substitute of your coaching. Okay, so we got to make sure that in these staff meetings, that we're taking a moment. One of my old leaders used to do this. At the end of every staff meeting, he would take a moment and just really coach us. He would give us a thought to go throughout the day. He would sometimes get at the whiteboard and do a 15-minute teaching. It doesn't have to be long. You can just simply give them some value because they just gave time from their day. Of course, they were expected to be there. I get all that. But we need to make sure that we're also pouring back into them so that we handle all the housekeeping stuff at the front end. But when you get into to the latter end of everything, they're like, man, I really love being a part of this. I didn't just feel like I was communicated to. We didn't just collab as a team. I didn't just get celebrated. I didn't just have community, but my leader made the extra step and coached us today. And so to taking a moment right there, maybe at the end or whenever it fits within your meeting's agenda, take a moment to coach and to encourage. Okay, 5 reasons for meetings. All right. Further advice. Excuse my drink breaks. I have a little cold happening here. Further advice. Okay. Work expands or contracts to the time allotted. Here's your point. Only utilize the time that is needed. Okay. I could say it this way. Meetings expand or contract to the time that is given for it, to the time that is allotted. Only utilize the time that is underlined, needed. For example, oftentimes, this is a big one for me. Oftentimes, 1-hour meetings only need to be 22 minutes. You know what I'm saying? We have this tendency. I have some maybe theories on why, but it's a bit irrelevant to the teaching. But we have this tendency to fill the time. We feel it. Okay, FILL, fill it. That is allotted for that meeting. And there's so much fluff. Preachers are notorious for this. I used to be way worse than maybe I still am today. But if you give me 45 minutes and I only have 22 minutes of content, I don't need to take the 45 minutes just because you gave it to me, right? It's fluffy, it's messy. Just handle the meeting. I'll say this, that 30-minute meetings that we have with just maybe another person on the team, it really only needs to be 11 or 12 minutes. And of course, if y'all need to hang out longer to have the sense of chemistry, community, collaboration, etc., I get that. But my point is, oftentimes people mark on their schedules. Let's just say a 90-minute staff meeting. You don't need to go the full 90 minutes if you don't need to. Nobody ever complained about somebody ending early, right? When it comes to work, etc., when it comes to meetings, when it comes to speaking, Um, now, if side note, if an organization asks you to speak for 1 hour, then don't just get up there and speak for 20 minutes and be like, hey, my leadership coach said, if I don't have this much material, you still got to pay me the same. No, I was with an organization last week, and I asked him, I said, you know, this 1 hour that you've given me, would you like me to fill that time? He said, give us all the content you can in 60 minutes. And on the dot, I said, amen at that 60-minute mark, because I was there to serve for that hour. That is different than a setting like this, okay? So make sure that when the meeting is done, let it be done. If anything, do a formal closing and then say, we're going to keep hanging out for a few minutes here in the room, or whatever, but give them permission, give them that freedom, that liberation to be able to leave the room if they want to. But work expands or contracts to the time allotted. Only utilize the time that is needed. It's amazing. If I came to you and said, for example, if I did a case study on this and I said, we're going to meet for 1 hour as a staff, and naturally, again, by default, we could go and fill that complete 60-minute time duration, that time slot, that bracket. But if the very next week I kept the exact same agenda, the exact same flow, and I said, hey, we only have 20 minutes today to meet, I guarantee you, it's amazing how it works. I guarantee you we would hit that 20 minutes because we knew that we only had 20 minutes. We have this tendency to fill the time that is allotted. Okay, so only utilize the time that is needed. All right. Okay. A leader doesn't just have answers, they have questions. Here's your point. Provoke the room. Ask the room. Inquire the room. You don't always have the answers as a leader. Sometimes when I do, they call it, Q&As. I like to personally call it Q&Rs because I don't always have an answer, but I always have a response. And sometimes my response to you might be, well, what do you think about it? Or what are you going to do about it? Provoking the room. Your leaders, your staff is oftentimes so much smarter than we give them the ability to show. When we call on them, when we ask them these questions, you'll be amazed. A couple of you watching this right now, you are aware that we have an internship program at the church. And, Mike, you're a part of it and you're doing a great job. And the other day I had all of y'all speak for 5 minutes apiece. And every time we do something like that, I'm not surprised, but I'm always amazed. Because I'm sitting back saying, man, how many more moments like this can we have to where I don't have to instruct, y'all can do the instructing, because y'all are so stinking gifted and you carry so much wisdom and knowledge, right? You're so intellectual and so revelatory. I could continue to go with these words, but my point is when you call on the room, watch what comes out. It's amazing. Okay, so a leader doesn't just have answers, they have questions. That is the art essentially of coaching, my life coaching company, to where from where this is being hosted. A large part of what I do as a coach, I'm asking questions. I'm not just giving advice or giving points or giving instruction. I'm asking a lot of questions. And because oftentimes, those questions really unpack the gold that's already in the people that you lead. And so anyways, provoke the room, ask the room in certain moments. Now, don't ask the entire time to where it seems like you have no idea what you're doing, but find moments. Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? All right. I love to do that, by the way. If you've been a part of a meeting or a session with me, you know that I do that a lot on purpose. It's not that I don't have something to say. Could I? Y'all know me. I always got something to say. My big mouth. But I love taking a moment and asking others what do they have to say because it's oftentimes golden. All right. Sometimes the most quiet are the most thoughtful. Sometimes the most quiet are the most thoughtful. So kind of backing up my last point, here's the point in this: call on them. Call on them. What do you think? We have an intern right now at the church, going off the same example that I was just talking about. Her name is Ashlyn, and she is she's a silent killer. She's quiet all day long. She is so quiet that when we do team assignments, that people literally forget. This one scenario, they literally forgot to assign her to a team. She was in the room, but she's so quiet that you wouldn't even be able, that you wouldn't necessarily know she was in the room by what she puts off, by her volume, by her personality. It's not big, etc. But the other day, I jumped on and she was teaching one of our weekly lives through our organization, and I'm listening to this young lady talk, and I'm blown away. I mean, she is so wise. She is so smart. And I'm thinking, you got to call on her way more than you do, bro, because sometimes the most quiet are the most thoughtful. Call on them. Okay. All right. Last one, but not least. People don't mind giving their time as long as they aren't wasting their time. Maximize it and honor it. People don't mind giving their time as long as they're not wasting their time. Maximize it and honor it. Remember the next word right here, I believe it's cut off. It says it's costly. Okay, it is costly. Staff meetings, think about this. Staff meetings are expensive. You tally up everybody's time in the room, right? And what they're getting paid, their salaries. Okay, it is quite expensive of a meeting. If you think of it that way, it's perspective. So it stops you as a leader from getting in and just kind of kicking it and hanging out and kind of spending time when people are like, man, I got 37 things on my desk that I need to get done today. Make sure that you are honoring that time and honoring their workload, honoring their schedule. So the point in this is have a clear purpose and agenda. Know where the meeting should go. I should send out a PDF to the Lounge Weekly Slack channel just showing you a mock agenda of a meeting. But I would say have a clear purpose and agenda. If you start on a certain topic or conversation within the meeting, take it somewhere. Have a landing point, okay? Have a clear purpose and agenda. I said this was the last one. I don't believe it is. Okay, this is end on a bright note. Okay, last one. End on a bright note. At the very end of the meeting, just take time. Maybe throw out, something you're grateful for. Swing it back up, make it encouraging. Thank everybody in the room. Pour out your heart a little bit. Throw a little vision in it, but end on a bright note. Maybe a testimony or a story from your organization, but you don't want to end heavy because that's what people remember. That's what they feel. Oftentimes, people will base the entire staff meeting around that closing note. And so make sure you swing it back up. Even if everything else was heavy, swing it up at the end. Okay. Just like I said, an easy way is to thank them. And just remind them that you consider it an honor to be able to work alongside and to serve that staff. But I want to take a couple minutes of questions if you have any. If not, we can go ahead and transition for the day. And I am so passionate about good meetings. When you walk out of a good meeting, you know it. You just know it. There's something encouraging, something life-giving. So All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and transition for the day. And I hope today encouraged you and equipped you as leaders. You know how to pick up something that's laid down in front of you. So I encourage you to go back over these notes. And maybe you're not in a place right now where you are leading staff meetings, but I want a lot of this material that I give you, this content that I give you, to really be a handbook for that season of your life. Because if you remain in leadership long enough, then you will be in a setting like this, whether it's 2 or 3 people. you know yeah, the same applies, by the way, if it's 2 or 3, or if it's 2 to 300. You know what I'm saying? So I've been in large rooms, I've been in small rooms when it comes to having staff meetings like this. And so let this be like a handbook, an instructional piece of material for your future. Kind of store it away a little bit. And then when the right moment comes, go to the bookshelf, pull that thing out, run through it. And I promise you, your meetings will never be the same if you stick to these elements right here. Okay, family, I love you so much. And it's so good to have you. Let's keep spreading the word about the Lounge Weekly. And of course, just a mild plug here. There are further resources on my website, and there are some things that are coming up the pipe right now that I'm so excited about that I will make sure to share with you very soon. Okay, family, love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Monday.